blond man. There was no doubt in Matilda's mind that this latest display of foulness by her father deserved severe punishment, and as she sat eating her awful fried fish and fried chips and ignoring the television, her brain went to work on various possibilities. By the time she went up to bed, her mind was made up. The next morning she got up early and went into the bathroom and locked the door. As we already know, Mrs. Wormwood's hair was dyed a brilliant platinum blonde, very much the same glistening silvery color as a female tightrope walker's tights in a circus. The big dyeing job was done twice a year at the hairdresser's, but every month or so in between Mrs. Wormwood used to freshen it up by giving it a rinse in the wash basin with something called platinum blonde hair dye, extra strong. This also served to dye the nasty brown hairs that kept growing from the roots underneath. The bottle of platinum blonde hair dye extra strong was kept in the cupboard in the bathroom, and underneath the tile on the label were written the words, "Caution. This is peroxide. Keep away from children." Matilda had read it many times with fascination. Uh-oh, it seems like she's up to something. Matilda's father had a fine crop of black hair which he parted in the middle and of which he was exceedingly proud. "Good strong hair," he was fond of saying, "means there's a good strong brain underneath." "Like Shakespeare," Matilda had once said to him. "Like who?" "Shakespeare, Daddy." "Was he brainy?" "Very, Daddy." "He had masses of hair, did he?" "He was bald, Daddy." To which the father had snapped, "If you can't talk sense, then shut up." So that's Mr. Wormwood right there. Once again, not being very nice to his daughter Matilda. Little Matilda right there with the book. There's Mr. Wormwood once again. Anyway, Mr. Wormwood kept his hair looking bright and strong, or so he thought, by rubbing into it very morning large quantities of a lotion called Oil of Violets Hair Tonic. A bottle of this smelly purple mixture was always stood on the shelf above the sink in the bathroom, alongside all the toothbrushes, and a very vigorous scalp massage with oil of violets took place daily after shaving was completed. This hair and scalp massage was always accompanied by loud masculine grunts and heavy breathing and gasps of, "Ah, that's better, that's the stuff. Rub it in right into the roots," which could be clearly heard by Matilda in her bedroom across the corridor. Now, in the early morning privacy of the bathroom, Matilda unscrewed the cap of her father's oil of violets and tipped 3/4 of the contents down the drain. Then she filled the bottle up with her mother's platinum blonde hair dye, extra strong. She carefully left enough of her father's original hair tonic in the bottle so that when she gave it a good shake, the whole thing still looked reasonably purple. She then replaced the bottle on the shelf above the sink, taking care to put her mother's bottle back in the cupboard. So far, so good. At breakfast time, Matilda sat quietly at the dining room table, eating her cornflakes. Her brother sat opposite her with his book to the door, devouring hunks of bread smothered with a mixture of peanut butter and strawberry jam. The mother was just out of sight around the corner in the kitchen making Mr. Wormwood's breakfast, which always had to be 2 fried eggs on fried bread with 3 pork sausages and 3 strips of bacon and some fried tomatoes. At this point Mr. Wormwood came noisily into the room. He was incapable of entering any room quietly, especially at breakfast time. He always had to make his appearance felt immediately by creating a lot of noise and clatter. One could almost hear him saying, "It's me, here I come, the great man himself, the master of the house, the wage earner, the one who makes it possible for all the rest of you to live so well. Notice me and pay your respects." On this occasion he strode in and slapped his son on the back and shouted, "Well, my boy, your father feels he's in for another great money-making day today at the garage. I've got a few little beauties I'm going to flog to the idiots this morning. Where's my breakfast?" "It's coming, treasure," Mrs. Wormwood called from the kitchen. Matilda kept her face bent low over her cornflakes. She didn't dare look up. In the first place, she wasn't at all sure what she was going to see, And secondly, if she did see what she thought she was going to see, she wouldn't trust herself to keep a straight face. The son was looking directly ahead out of the window, stuffing himself with bread and peanut butter and strawberry jam. The father was just moving round to sit at the head of the table when the mother came sweeping out from the kitchen, carrying a huge plate piled high with eggs and sausages and bacon and tomatoes. She looked up. She caught sight of her husband. She stopped dead. Then she let out a scream that seemed to lift her right up into the air, and she dropped the plate with a crash and a splash onto the floor. Everyone jumped, including Mr. Wormwood. I'm going to stop right there, scholars. You can go ahead and use the link that I provided to finish this read aloud on your own. I can't wait for y'all to see what happens next. It's really funny. So make sure you, go ahead and read it. Look at all the links that we have on the website, the questions you should be asking yourself. And I can't wait to hear if you like the chapter. Okay, bye y'all.